Maybe I'm the only person this happens to, but have you ever read a verse that you've read 100 times, but suddenly you see it totally differently? Like a bolt of lightning or a V8 moment, you suddenly understand it in a whole new light. Here's an optical example. Some would call it an illusion. Do you see a young woman or an old woman? Sometimes seeing one can become an impediment to seeing the other, yet both are cleverly there. Theologically, we can hold a certain paradigm or traditional understanding such that we can't see something else that is obviously there. Yet, taking time to ponder and refocus can suddenly open whole new worlds of understanding that utterly shift our paradigm. This is the first of 4 videos that will look at 10 verses that are paradigm shifters. These first 2 verses, I pray, will challenge you, as I was the first time they hit me. They open doors to big blessings. Number 1, Jesus, Yeshua, said, "Whoever then annuls one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever keeps and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." That's Matthew 5:19. Right here, Yeshua tells us exactly how to be least in the kingdom. Ever notice that? He says, hey guys, here's how to be least in the kingdom. All you have to do is annul one of the least of the commandments and teach others to do the same. Who wants to be least in the kingdom? Any takers? No hands? Believe it or not, 99% of all Christian denominations from Rome to the uttermost parts of the earth teach not that least commandments are done away with, but that whole chapters no longer apply. I come from a Reformed Presbyterian background, and my denomination abided by the Westminster Confession of Faith. Chapter 19, paragraph 3, says, all which ceremonial laws are now abrogated under the New Testament. The dictionary says that abrogated means annulled. Therefore, this document, drafted by men, directly contradicts the words of Jesus, Yeshua. Who do we believe? The Westminster Divines or the divine Messiah? Do we want to be least in the kingdom or great? Seems like a no-brainer, but then verses like this one demand that we use our brain and swim against the tide of theological tradition. This requires a paradigm shift. Our second verse, in Acts chapter 6 and 7, we read the story of the first martyr, Stephen. Have you ever paid attention to why he was martyred? Exactly how did he wind up before the Sanhedrin? This verse will shake up some theology. Acts chapter 6, verses 13 and 14 says, they put forward false witnesses who said, this man incessantly speaks against this holy place and the Torah, the law. For we have heard him say that this Nazarene, Jesus, Yeshua, will destroy this place and alter the customs which Moses handed down to us. Stephen was stoned to death for teaching against the temple and against the Torah. However, the Sanhedrin had to use false witnesses to bring the charges. False witnesses. Let that sink in. Do you know what that means? Yep. It means Stephen, a man filled with the Holy Spirit in the months or year immediately following the resurrection of Messiah, was not teaching against the Torah. In fact, he was zealous for Moses, as we'll see in our next video. Ironically, 99% of Christendom today would be charged with teaching against the temple and the Torah, and the charges would be true. By implication of the testimony of these false witnesses, Yeshua did not alter the customs which Moses handed down to us. That is a paradigm shifter. Join us in the next video when we look at some of the things that Paul said and did. Shalom.